Howdy, everyone. Matt here. I got a question for you. What do you think the line is with a social media influencer on promoting products and those things? Let's talk about that. All right, everyone. First and foremost, let me introduce myself. My name is Matt. I am Matt the PT coming at you with another video on another topic of something from the physical therapy world. First and foremost, let me say thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. And of course, if you enjoy the video, hit that like button. And so I want to get into this thing about influencers, especially if you're a medical professional, you work in the healthcare field, and the promotion of products and those things. We see that. And this came about from I saw this story and I had to look into a little bit more because I didn't know the whole backstory. But there was a large social media influencer, Lady Spine Doc, and she had a sizable following on TikTok, I believe. Well, she did an ad for a GLP-1, and that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And saying that, okay, you're stepping outside of your scope of practice. You know, I trusted you with the things that you're doing. And now that you're doing this ad for this GLP-1, and that's just not what you're about. And it started this whole thing. And everyone can have their opinion on things about what they did. But I wanted to talk about that as someone who is a content creator. I don't know how much of an influencer I am. I hope maybe I just influence you to laugh, and that's really how I go about it. But just to talk about that aspect of it and where that line should be, and really a big thing of it is how hard it is with that line. And social media itself is huge. I mean, that's the big thing now. We're all connected in some form or fashion, in some way or another. We're all connected to this stuff. And that's where the big thing where people are just getting their entertainment. And there are individuals who get pretty big on there. Just through, you're putting out stuff, you're doing something, you're entertaining, you're educating, you're doing some form of that. You're putting that out there and people like you and they start following you and interacting with your content. And it has this other effect is that brands, companies see that and they want to use that influencer or whomever to market their product or their service. And I can see why. And I will be honest, I've had brands and companies and businesses approach me to promote their product. And I will talk about myself here at the end. But they come forward to say, you have a demographic of individuals that we would like to market to. And it's a little easier for companies to market using influencers because, like I said, they have a demographic rather than the company going, okay, we have this product or this service and we want to sell it to or market it, sell it, whatever that you want to say, to this group of this group here. And for a company, they're going to have to come up with an idea. They're going to have to film it. They're going to have to put it out there. You're going to get the actor, whomever. You got to do all of this and hope it hits the right demographic. Hope it hits that demographic that's going to purchase the product or the service. And it can be so hit or miss. Yes, it could hit one and boom, it takes off and it goes great. Or, we spent all this time, money, and effort and it went nowhere. But if you go to an influencer, you can tell them, hey, we would like you to promote this product because it goes to their market. And that influencer comes up with everything. They film it, they shoot it, you do all of that. And it's so much less work for the company. And they can save money on it as well. And then you're hitting this demographic. And I've heard that like the influencer marketing sphere is going to be like a $5 billion industry. So it's huge. And I've seen a very interesting thing that there are companies that are very much on board with it and understand it very well. And they do very well with utilizing. Some that see it, they don't fully understand it, but they know it's an aspect of it. And I'm going to tell you, there's some that have no clue about it and still think like, well, people are just going to just get our product. They're just going to know about us. And they're just almost like adverse to it. They just don't want to even get into it because they just don't understand it. And that's just kind of the aspect of it. But I want to talk to this thing about the side of an influencer. And I'm just going to give my perspective in my experience and what I go through, because this is and I want to be transparent with everyone, because I feel like that's important. I feel like I have a fairly humble background. I came from just a very average little area, small town, and I still think of myself as that person. And I try to really hold those values of who I was growing up as I've just go through about anything. And I would say with my social media that it started off as just something as an outlet. This is a creative outlet. Make these funny things because I've always had a sense of humor. I was never the goofball in class. I was the quiet kid, but I just wanted to be funny, just to have this outlet, just to put this out there and just to be entertaining. And lo and behold, it just resonated with so many of you. And I'm so thankful to each and every one of you that engage with my stuff and find it entertaining. And I really had that. And I will say, I have had brands and companies and come to me to say, hey, would you promote our product? Would you, market our stuff to your audience? And I will tell you, this thing comes about that you can start questioning what goes on. And it's a very interesting, very just kind of crazy thing. And I think we have to keep this in mind because, if we're not in that situation, it's so easy for us to say one thing or another. I mean, talk about if I said to you right now, if you won the lotto today, you won the Mega Millions, you won $100 million, you got the cash out of just whatever. I'm just going to say you hit it for whatever it is, and you got $100 million. $100 million. What would you do with it? And it's so easy to say, I would do this or that, and I wouldn't do this, and I would, because it's not real. And I think we have to keep that in mind, because you can hit a point if you're starting on social media to say like, well, if I had these companies come to me and do this, I would say yes, or I would say no to this, or I would do that. But when it becomes real, when is the time of a company has come to you and said, we will pay you X number of dollars, something with a comma in it, to promote, to sell our product, to come up with some ads for us? Would you do that? And I will tell you, this thing goes on internally that you really have to be aware of is like those values and those things that you have get challenged very easily, because now you're facing this situation, because it's like, well, that's a significant amount of money. And all I have to do is just come up with a little video, and I just do that, and I get this amount of money. Now I will say, I've never had anything significant. So I've never had something crazy. I've never had anything crazy. But I'll tell you, I've heard of influencers, $50,000, $100,000 or more for something, because some of these big companies have deep pockets. They come forward to say, we will pay you tens of thousands of dollars to do this. And all of a sudden you're thinking, all I have to do is that little thing and I get this much money. And you start thinking of those other things that are going on. So you think about what you can do with that money. And of course, people think like, oh, you could go wild and do it, that aspect. But you can also think about, man, I could pay down that credit card. I could get my car fixed. I could do this. I could do that. You could have these things that you really need to do. And there's also the want, like I said earlier, there's also the want on that side where, you're going to go, well, I want to go take this trip. I want to buy this thing. I want to buy this. And that really gets pulled at, because now here's that opportunity. You've had this goal of something. I've had this goal to pay this down or to get this thing over here. And now, but you didn't know the path. And I would say, like, you didn't know the path. I didn't know how I was going to get from here to there. I don't know how to get my dream car. for example. I don't know how to get my dream car or my dream, my wife has her purse that she always loved or what, this thing I've wanted. And you didn't know how you were going to bridge that exactly. I just think, well, I'm just going to save money or I'm going to get a raise and I'm going to work over to that. Or, how am I going to pay down this credit card or this and I'm just going to work. But now you give them something to go, here you go. Here is that journey right here. Here you go. We're just going to give it to you. And you really get pulled in that thing of saying, oh, what could I do? I could do this. I could do that. It could be so much that goes on in everything because it was just given to me so easily. And that's when your morals and all that and your values and all that get questioned. I'm going to say for myself, when I started this whole journey, I set a boundary on things. And I will say, you probably have seen, I have created content for products and services. But I said so early on that I'm not going to promote anything. If I ever have the chance to do anything, I'm going to have to believe in it. It's going to have to be something that I use or something that I really feel my peers would utilize as well. Because I can't just throw something out there that I don't stand behind because I don't feel that it's going to be right and it's just going to gnaw on me. And I will say for myself, whenever I've had stuff come to me, I do a lot of thinking. And I also keep it within my profession of what I do. I have had supplement companies of different things along those lines come to me. I had an ED medication came to me one time and I went, nope, that is not what I wanted to do. Although I will say I had some super funny ideas for it. That I knew were not going to get green lighted whatsoever. And I would have just used it like if I could just do that for just the hilarity of just creating that, which you know what, I may just make that commercial because I do have this thing if I wanted to make these funny commercials. Maybe I will do that aspect. And if you want me to, just let me know in the comments if I should just do it. But I knew that was outside of my scope. Now I would say, I'm not going to promote any kind of supplements. I was like, now if a creatine or basic creatine or like a protein powder, I may question. I may wonder about that because I use those things. I use those and I know that there's a benefit to it. Protein is, if you exercise or just getting in your protein is great. Creatine has some benefits for like brain health and helping with performance and stuff like that. Okay, maybe, but I would use that as for myself. I've had other things that have come forward to me in the form that are kind of close into the physical therapy world. And that's what I keep in mind. What is going to align with what I do? I've had devices and things. I'm like, I could not see myself using that. That doesn't line up with what I would do. I can't go with it. Now I do try to keep in mind that not everyone practices like me, that there's still a majority of people that would utilize certain things. I take that really into consideration. And I would be very happy to talk to anybody about why I would do any of that. But I will tell you for myself, I always try to keep that in mind of what my license is and who I am as a professional, not to cross that line. So not to promote or to sell or do anything that goes out. And I think all medical professionals should have that, to have that standard of saying, I'm not going to do this. And if something approaches you, to take that in consideration. Is this questionable? And I will say with really almost anything that you put out, if you have to stop and think, is this a good idea? You probably shouldn't do it because something inside of you is saying that it's not a good idea. So it's like, okay, part of me says it's not a good idea. I should probably go with that to say it's not a good idea and not do it. Other things will come about. But I will tell you, I can see why that kind of happens, of why an influencer in healthcare of whatever will go one way or the other. Something comes, there's a huge payday to it. And you could easily do it. But it does it could mess up your reputation and what your followers or your subscribers or whomever think of you. And I know for myself, I always try to keep that in mind of however people see me and how I'm going to be. And I just want to be true about that. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions, and beliefs, all that down in the comment below. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that thumbs up button. And of course, subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you a copay or anything. And until next time, take care of yourself. Take care of your patients. I'll see you then.